Oh, nice.
Red tails circle around their habitat. That means we're in red tail territory.
Realizing that there's more here than pigeons and house sparrows is an eye-opening experience, and it's really delightful. I'm Catherine Hines. I'm the Executive Director of New York City Audubon.
Branch going horizontal. Oh my God, it's preening.
Our organization is founded in a love of birds and a desire to protect them. New York City Audubon's primary work is science and inquiry-based.
My name is Susan Elbin, and I am the Director of Conservation and Science at New York City Audubon. I think people are astounded to know that we have at least 350 species of wild birds that use our city at some point in their lifetime. Some are resident, like cardinals. There are also some birds that migrate through twice a year. There's some birds that come here just to breed, like, for example, long-legged wading birds. New York City has at least 20% of the breeding black-crowned night herons in the state of New York. Oh God, it's a gorgeous bird. In the harbor heron nesting surveys that we've been doing for the last more than 35 years, we've been collecting data year after year, the same way, on the same islands. It's long hours, it's grueling work, it's not sexy. Collecting data over a long period of time is irreplaceable. It's all critically important in order to say anything about changes in the city. When we know a development is happening, or a salt marsh is supposed to be filled in, or there's an oil spill, we can respond by saying, hey, we have the numbers, we know this is important habitat for these birds. What are you going to do about it? We're responsible for those birds.
Birds can really do well in an urban environment. The downside to coming into an urban habitat is built structures, buildings with reflective glass.
So this morning on my way in, I walked by the Grace building, and I did that route, and I did find a bird. So here's this little guy. So just really conked his head. Twice a year, for many months each period, birds are migrating over New York City. They're migrating at night. We don't see them. They'll fly into what they think is a tree or the sky, and really what it is reflected images on glass.
By our measure, buildings are killing 1 billion birds a year.
New York City Audubon, this is Andrew. Okay, do you have the bird in your possession?
Glass is a big problem for birds. They don't know it's solid. They don't know it's a wall. They didn't evolve with glass.
Where do you say you found the bird?
We've developed a tool called D-Bird that helps citizens report dead birds and helps our scientists track hotspots and problem buildings.
It's a crowdsourced database. It tells us when a bird has been found, what the bird is, where it was found. So this hummingbird was found on the 15th of September. Where's the Time Warner building?
What kind of buildings are more deadly? What can we do to advocate for legislation or other rules, or to encourage builders and developers to make buildings that are bird safe?
I think we have to see how that building's doing and the rest of the data.
Scaling up our work and sharing it with like-minded Audubon chapters and other organizations around the country is critical to success nationwide for bird populations.
This was September 11th, downtown East.
This is a really beautiful elegy.
Every year on September 11th, New York City honors the memory of those who died in the terror attack by erecting these two beams that go up into the heavens. They're incredibly moving tribute to the lives of those souls. Artificial light will affect the behavior of a bird. It will make a bird change direction. It'll make a bird veer off path.
But they've been really coming in.
They just are attracted to this big bright light.
And we can hear the night calling and their distress, and it's sad.
The New York City Audubon has two teams of volunteers, and we count birds every 20 minutes. So between those counts, we also watch to see what the birds are doing. And they'll go around and around, and they'll get trapped. They won't know how to get out.
They're saying 460 and they're saying 600.
1,000 birds in the two beams combined is a flag that we then tell the production folks that we need to turn the beams off to let those birds move on. When the birds are really low and you can hear them, you can't ignore them. So they need to be listened to. Citizen science is really the backbone of many of our projects.
I love this bird. It has so much personality.
The other really important area for us is growing our engagement with the public. We find that once people are exposed to the beauty of wild birds and the birds that are in their midst, they're engaged and they become curious.
Oh, I see something.
The herring gull is 25 inches long. So it's got 5 inches on it, and it's massive. It's a huge bird, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
Governor's Island has been a tremendous boon for New York City Audubon, offering family-friendly activities and walks that provide explanation on the importance of healthy habitat.
We have a thriving tern colony down there, and we're going to go visit them right now.
Common terns are a state threatened species. This is the only colony in Manhattan.
We work very hard to keep these nesting colonies going strong, and we set out oyster shells and grass bits to make friendly habitat. And the good news is we're being successful. We're in all 5 boroughs. On Monday mornings and Thursday afternoons, pop over to Bryant Park and meet Gabriel Willow, and he'll take you on a free walk in the park.
There's a palm warbler in the tree here. I can only tell it's backlit. You see the tail wagging? Yep. That constant tail wagging is unique to this species of warbler.
Welcome to the Jamaica Bay Refuge, a very special place in New York City.
We do an annual Shorebird Festival with the American Littoral Society and the National Park Service at the Jamaica Bay Wildlife Refuge every year at the end of August. What I want to tell you about is some of the work they've been doing here in the refuge this year is putting nano tags on semi-palmated sandpipers. And this is a population that's abundant here but globally declining.
My name is Don Reapy. I'm a naturalist. This building and the area standing on is the only area in this whole island that wasn't flooded by Sandy. We are 18 feet above sea level here. The storm was 14 feet, came up the trail. In this huge salt marsh, when you have a big freshwater pond, that's when birds would come in there in droves. Big nest out there is of an osprey, a big fish-eating seahawk, that nests here. 1979, we had no osprey in New York City. We now have about 28 nesting pair in the whole ecosystem here. They do very well.
There is no better building in New York City than the Javits Center. Not only did they retrofit all of their glass and remake their building as a bird-friendly structure, the green roof on top is a welcoming environment. There are birds nesting there. In an ultra-urban landscape, green roofs are really coming online as the next new habitat for birds of our city. We're really interested in the long-term effect of green roofs and how that patchwork of green roofs around the city, building by building, will begin to build a mosaic of habitat.
The Kingsland roof is a new roof, and New York City Audubon has been in on the ground level as the roof has been built. It's a wildlife community that's developing on the roof.
We want the businesses that want green infrastructure to find us. Nonprofit organizations and businesses can work together to come up with really neat solutions. We've launched Feathered Friends, an after-school program with an elementary school in the Bronx.
Erie, what?
Sweet, sweet little seat.
Yes, what is that?
Yellow warbler.
Yes! Oh my goodness! That was so good! That was so, did you get that?
And we're looking to grow that program and to replicate it in other schools around the city.
We've got to start fostering them young, and especially reaching out to communities that often aren't exposed to nature.
What I do is I try to hear for sounds. And you have to know their song by heart. Like, I know the red-winged blackbirds, the yellow warblers. I also know, yes, warbling vireo. And I also know the chimney swifts. And the ravens.
I see the red-winged blackbird. Where?
Over there.
Where? Oh, it's coming towards us.
This is what will create the next generation of conservation-minded New Yorkers.
We're all in this together. We're trying to prevent the loss of the wildlife in New York City.
We are looking at the horseshoe crabs in the harbor and the Bay areas, which provide really important food sources for red knots and oyster catchers and other birds in the shoreline. We're tagging and banding. The other thing that's on our minds is rodenticides. When they are improperly deployed, are harmful to birds and to people. Cats are still a problem. We're worried about any potential rollbacks to clean water and clean air protections that help birds across the country. There's so much work to do. Every day is a step forward.